Friend, do you know? China today should not be what it is today. In fact, he should be poorer and more backward than he is now. Weaker is normal. It's just that all Chinese are lucky. Because of you, we both live in a miracle country. There is a saying that many economists around the world often say, China's development speed defies common sense. Because according to the standards of the World Bank, annual GDP per capita from $300 to $10,000. It took England 200 years. It took the United States 120 years. It took Korea 40 years. China took 25 years. When Brazil is caught in the middle income trap, struggling for half a century. When South Africa's racial tensions ripped apart development opportunities, China took only one generation. Let 1.4 billion people cross the food and clothing to the well-off. 80 years ago, the iron hooves of the Japanese devils almost crushed China into ruins. Over 40 years ago, our parents were still hunched over and munching in the fields. A bowl of porridge should be divided into 3 meals. At that time, who says China can become what it is today? I'm afraid it will be regarded as a lunatic. After all, at the end of World War II, machines in the factories of other great powers. It's already rumbling. A century of railways spread across the country. Even India. There are steel mills and railway networks left by the British. What about us? You could say nothing. Even a complete internal combustion engine production line have not yet been established. The only hope for the Chinese seems to be farming. Looking back at Beijing in 1949, a rickshaw driver's daily income, you can only buy half a caddy of brown rice. The average life expectancy in China at that time was only 35 years. Up to 8 out of 10 babies survive. We had a mortality rate of over 20%. 1 bed per 50,000. Li Yiquan, the first health minister of New China, when opening the National Medical Resources Statistics table, he said bleakly that there are only 3,670 medical practitioners in the whole of China. The United States at this time, there are 1.5 cars per 1,000 people. How pitiful are we? Every 10,000 people can make up 0.07 bicycles. We don't even have a fraction of their money. More than 80% of the country's population is illiterate, and it's still being able to write your name. It's calculated without being illiterate. At that time, I can't find a single electric light. In rural areas across the country, in the bank building on the Bund in Shanghai, foreign exchange reserves are almost nil. And the India we despise today, he already had nearly $2 billion in reserves. This is the foundation at the outset of New China, a man who has endured many years of war. An agricultural country almost torn to shreds by the great powers. Historian Huang Renyu once described China at that time. This country needs to start from negative numbers. But that's the way it is. China has been using it forcibly for decades. After walking the road of others for hundreds of years. The streets are now full of cars, mobile phones, high-rise buildings. I can't even imagine it in the past. This is not normal by common sense. One was smashed by war. Illiteracy is widespread. A country with zero industry. It should be poor jingle now. It was supposed to be city dwellers huddled in leaky bungalows. Farmers watch the sky to eat. And they can't go to school. Starve to death in case of famine. This is in line with a country with bad foundations. It has been developed for more than 70 years. But when Western journalists mock China, when even a nail needs to be imported, no one could have imagined. This country will be in 70 years. 1 billion screws per day. 70% of the world's smartphones. 80% air conditioning, 90% laptop. They're all labeled made in China. No one thought a country that couldn't even build bicycles. Nowadays, high-speed rail mileage can circle the Earth's equator. The space station is suspended among the stars. China produces 1/3 of the world's industrial products. It's longer than the whole world combined. Even the most remote mountain villages are connected to roads and the internet. We still use less than 10% of the world's arable land, feeding 20% of the world's population. Some people always like to say, China's rapid development is due to its large population. But look at India. The population is similar to that of China. In 1949, his family wealth was much thicker than that of China. Britain left more than 50,000 kilometers of railways behind. His Tata Steel Mills, 1 million tons of steel per year in 1912. As a result, today, half the people in India don't have access to clean water. The Chinese turn on the tap. You can drink tap water that meets the target. 230 million people in India have no access to electricity. And China has long since electrified rural areas across the country. Almost everyone. I can't even remember when the last power outage was. Even the most remote Pamir Plateau. The herdsmen's tents are also lit with photovoltaic lights. What's even more outrageous is the problem of eating. During the famine of 1959, China's per capita food is not as good as India's. Now the rice and white noodles in our supermarket are piled up into mountains. Young people are even picky eaters. The meat is too fat. Those who complain that delivery is not fast enough. Young people with poor cell phone signal may not be aware of it. Their grandfather for a bag of relief food can walk for 3 days and 3 nights. When their parents got married, the 3 big pieces are still bicycles, sewing machines, radios. When you're stuck on the high-speed rail, please look out the window. There may be. It is the wreckage of the Longhai Railway that was once bombed by the Japanese army. Compared to the historical norm, it's freakishly lucky. Of course, China today may not be perfect, but one was once ransacked by the 8 power Allied forces, a country bombed to the ground by the Japanese. The people who once fought warships with wooden boats. He only enjoyed a few short 10 years of peace. You can let your own aircraft carrier patrol the South China Sea. Use the space station to dock with the stars. A country that was once portrayed as the sick man of East Asia. Now 120 million vaccines are shipped around the world every day. Year 2010. China's industrial output has surpassed that of the United States. And the country's 110-year streak as the world's number 1. 2022 China's new energy vehicle production accounts for 60% of the world's total. PV module exports supply 90% of global demand. Now even the United States wants to sanction us. He has to weigh 3 points. This counterattack, searching through all of human history, you can't find a second case, a more stunning comparison, hidden in the details of people's livelihood. Old people always say, you only know the preciousness of treasure when you are hungry. In 1949, the per capita annual income in rural China, less than 100 kilograms of millet. 90% of the farmers still live in adobe houses. And today, per capita disposable income of rural residents in China, more than 20,000. Village-to-village highway. Households have power grids. Some people complain that the subway is too crowded, but forgot that 40 years ago entering the city required a commune to issue a certificate. Some people dislike that domestic mobile phones are not high-end enough, but I don't know 1980. There are only 2 million fixed telephones in the country. That's less than the size of Manhattan. China today. There are 240 million parcels every day. The number of 4 grams base stations accounts for more than half of the world's total. Even herders in that part of Tibet can use 5 grams live broadcast to graze their animals. In 1950, there were only 117,000 college students in China. Nowadays, 57.8% of China's higher education graduates have a gross education level. The number of engineers trained annually, it has exceeded the sum of the United States, Japan, and Germany. When a graduate of Indian Institute of Technology, India's top university, when racing to Silicon Valley, Chang Tianwen, engineer of the Chinese aerospace team, the average age is only 33 years old. Those who are full of complaints should think about it. You hate today. It's the older generation. I can't even dream of tomorrow. These achievements are not a gift from God, but countless. Dawn with hands raised. Jump from Wang Jingxi into the mud blowout. To Nanrindong to cast China's eye in 20 years. From 18 bloody handprints in Shaogong village, Onhui to Shiku, Shenzhen. Time is a sign of money. People in this land have always believed that poverty is not destiny. Weak can become strong. It just depends on whether you are willing to do it or not. Friends complain because they yearn for a better life. But everything you have today, it is a gift from the motherland. Please don't forget the land beneath your feet. Just completed the greatest counterattack in human history. Those seemingly ordinary tap water compulsory education. 5 grams signal into the long river of history. It's all incredible miracles. As one African student put it, you Chinese always say you are still on the road, but don't know. Your path has long been filled with flowers.